we need to talk about the Orlando Magic because, in my opinion, right now, they are a scary team and they are not getting talked about enough, in my opinion. Because if you haven't been paying attention or watching any Magic games, they are 18-5 in the last 23 games. Now, I know they had a bad moment with the Knicks. The Knicks can lock you up. The Pacers, seem to have their number, but they're a young team and everybody has a bad game. But I was, looking at the past 10 to 15 games, there's been, talks about where they can't shoot the three well. They're averaging about 10 to 14 makes a game. That's not terrible. That's actually pretty good in my opinion. Because in the playoffs, the game slows down. And the Orlando Magic has tall, lengthy guys. Paolo Banchero, he can get to the basket. Franz Wagner, he can get to the basket. He's tall and athletic. Jonathan Isaac can come in for 10 to 15 minutes off the bench and slow one of the stars down on the other team. And then think about this. They're fourth in steals. They're also fourth in defensive rating, 12th in net rating. And the offensive struggles they're going through at times, I think that's just experience. And Banchero and Wagner will only get better because they're going to add more to their game. That's what's scary about this team. You see, at one point, they were actually the first seed in the East, and they went through a slump. The reason why they went through that struggle, people may not paid attention, is they had some injuries to key players. Wendell Carter had some injuries. Franz Wagner had an ankle injury. And then you had Gary Harris. He was out for a while. And then Jonathan Isaac was also out for a while. So, of course, when you don't have your rotational pieces and you're, in my opinion, Franz Wagner, one of your best players, you're going to struggle. So they went 10 and 18. But ever since that moment, they have flipped the switch and turned things around. It's like they're back to where they were at the beginning of the season. So you have to wonder, where are the Magic heading? In my opinion, I believe they will be a top 3 team by next year. You could say that's crazy, but let's just look at history in basketball. We go back to the OKC Thunder when you had Westbrook, Harden, and Durant. What happened? They took that leap, right? And they became a serious contender in the West. And with experience, after that first run where they got to the Western Conference Finals, made the finals a year later. Now, I don't know if that would happen to them, but would I be surprised if they had a deep playoff run this year? No. You see, even as a Celtics fan, I can be objective about my team. And the one thing that concerns me about Jason Tatum is when you muck it up with him and you muck it up with the Celtics, because the 3-point shot isn't always going to fall in the playoffs. That's just a reality, right? And if they don't have a balance of, I know they run more post moves this year, but if they don't, have a balance of getting to the free throw line in the playoffs, they might struggle in that series against the Magic, assuming Orlando gets to the second round. And they're only a game and a half behind the third seed in Cleveland. And Cleveland right now is playing the Timberwolves tonight. So you have to wonder if they catch the Cavs. Whoa, that's a interesting matchup with Milwaukee and Orlando, assuming Orlando can get out of the first round. But I just love where this team is heading, and they're only going to get better. Now, the one thing about the Magic, they've had good teams in the past. And the thing is, you got to keep those guys. So the main priority for the Magic is making sure you keep Banchero and you keep Wagner long term, and you build around those two guys. Obviously, you might have to trade some guys. You might have to figure out some rotational pieces. Maybe you move some guys in the future, but those are your core pieces. And I don't want to forget about Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs has found his role this year, and he's one of the leaders of the team. So for me, the sky's the limit with the Magic. I think this team could be a problem for a lot of teams in the playoffs. Now, of course, experience is going to matter, and we'll see how quickly they can grow up in the playoffs. And again, we've seen a young team like the Thunder have no playoff experience, and they make the Western Conference Finals. Now, of course, the year before, they were actually the I think it was the 7th or 8th seed to play the Lakers, but you just never know. And when it comes to Boston, one thing that I noticed with Tatum that he struggles with is taller wings. We saw this with the Nuggets matchup where Aaron Gordon gave him fits, right? And they got some different guys they can throw at Boston. Well, you have Banchero, you have Jonathan Isaac. If you go watch the game in November, Jonathan Isaac had Tatum locked up. It was nasty work. So for me, I don't think Orlando is better, but could I see them pushing Boston to 7 games? I could. Could I see them pushing Milwaukee to 7 games? I definitely can. It's really going to come down to, are they ready for the moment? Are they ready to step into the playoffs? Because the playoffs is a different ball game, right? The game slows down, but I think that could work in their favor. Because if Orlando can get their baskets, they can get to the free throw line, and they can slow the game down. Remember, defensively, they're fourth in defensive rating. They're fourth in steals. So they're going to force turnovers. And if they can execute in the half court and get quality shots, this team's going to be a problem. And it's really up to Banchero and Wagner, if they're ready to step into those roles. And I think they very well could be. We're going to see very soon. But I just want to give the Orlando Magic a ton of credit for just building this roster. They have come a long way and have turned things around pretty quickly. And the key for them, in my opinion, is to keep their core roster, build around Suggs, Wagner, and Banchero, because those guys are only going to get better. And I'm just impressed. I love what I'm seeing from them. I think, if they have a defensive identity this early in their careers, that's a good sign for things to come. I don't want to deal with them, because if I got a guy like Jonathan Isaac going out there for even like 15 minutes a night and say, hey, go slow down Jaylen Brown, or go try to just muck it up with Giannis, or, get up on Damian Lillard, that is a weapon. And I know I might be jumping the gun, but I just believe in this team. I really do. And I think, as time goes on, the Magic is going to be a problem. In 2 to 3 years, if you're looking at, teams on the rise in the East, the Magic is right there. We can't argue it. Maybe they should go after a point guard, but we'll see if Fultz can stay healthy and, Jalen Suggs continues to build off this season. I think he will. So the Magic are in a great place. They've got their young guys. The key is keeping the core guys who they value as the main contributors they want to keep for the future. So in my opinion, that's Suggs, that's Wagner, and that's Banchero. That's your three-headed monster. And as long as the Magic continue to improve the roster, whether it's, getting a guy in the offseason like a vet, or, you go draft another guy, or you stockpile draft picks to get another key piece on this team, they got to continue to get better. And as long as they're moving forward with their two main guys, because Banchero is going to be a top 10 player, I have no doubt about it. This guy is only going to get better. He's 21 years old. That's just scary to think about. And Wagner, because remember, your prime years is where you play your best basketball. Usually after 25, that's when you start to get better. You look at Jaylen Brown this year. He looks more polished with his game. Like, he knows who he is and what he should be doing with the basketball at pretty much the entire game. Tatum, he's getting there. There are moments where Tatum is out of control. I've seen him, we saw the Nuggets game where he scored 15 points. The other game he struggled against Denver too. So there's still room to grow for Tatum, but he just turned 26. So Jaylen Brown going to his prime, I think, is only going to get better. But that's how I see Franz and Banchero. These guys are only going to improve their game. As long as they build the foundation right, get the playoff experience. Even if they lose in the first round, let's just say they lose a tough 7-game series. That is going to bode well for them next year. So Magic fans, y'all should be excited for this team. I like where you are heading as an organization. I think, when you have cornerstone pieces, that's how you build a healthy roster. And you've got that in these two guys. And as long as they continue to believe in them, that's the key, and build around them, sky's the limit for them. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. Love to hear your thoughts on, the 18-5, turnaround for the Magic. Where do you see them going in the playoffs? Do you think they can make a deep playoff run? Do you think it's, too soon? Love to hear from you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.